body is nothing to do, or it is to do, with the expression, or if you like, the dress of a particular light power. It means of a certain will. If we say that a will represent an amperage of life, an amperage of light, body is the expression of it. So for a very little light of existence, the expression is what we call a corporal body. This is why there is no separation between body and soul. Body is the expression of soul. Therefore, through what do you actually know? I'm speaking corporality now. Through what you actually know your desires? Through the body, through the senses. So it is sort of the dress that expresses the need, and including what our soul mind, which is the conglomeration and conclusion of the senses and our ability to sort of give it a form. So because we know the law that there is no light without vessel, any light and every light need a vessel, and the vessel of a very low existence without one can say an awakening of the spirit is our corporal body. Okay, so when we speak about awakening, we already do not speak about a corporal body. We speak what will be awakened, which is called the awakening of the dead. What is called dead? Let's see, there is some sort of a formula. The formula suggests that everything that is evil or bad, as it's called in Hebrew, meaning the will to receive, is called dead. Why? Because it is to the spirit without its acknowledgement as being the vessel to carry it. It's dead, because dead in terms of definition is everything that the light of the spiritual light is not present in it. So what will be awakened will be all those wills that did not bring themselves into reformation. They will wake up with a need to reform themselves, and that is called the awakening of the dead.
So that's
it's exactly, if you translate it, is to re-renaissance. Renaissance, it means it's another cycle of opportunity to be able to reform all those parts, meaning all those parts of our consciousness that were not reformed and have, if you like, the last chance with the biggest light to reform themselves and to include themselves. And this is why it is said that they will wake up with the flaw. The flaw is what was needed to be reformed and was not yet reformed. So it happens in as well in the cycle of reformation of the individual. You can say that if you appear here in our many transmigrations, definitely as Israel, you can see that the layers that are waking up to be brought into the light of reformation has a very specific nature. And at the end, there is sort of an hardcore of an issue that will sort of, you begin to see that there are variation. This is why I'm saying that usually each one of you ask always the same question, though it seems to be very, very different verbally, but basically it's an issue that person represent for humanity. And then it gets to the hardcore of it. The hardcore of it is the part that is dead, meaning was not exposed yet to life, which is the light, to be able to be included in reformation, in its completion. So it's the idea of it includes a huge and generous patience from the higher, and a diligent intention from the createe, to see that each of us carry this non-yielding, not wishing to participate part in us, and that is called resurrection of the dead. So it's real, but it's real in the real language, not in the language of only something that speaks about corporality. This is why Bala Sulam and any respectable Kabbalist will tell you that the Zohar does not speak one word of corporality. So when he speaks about resurrection of the dead, he doesn't speak about corporal bodies, because it doesn't speak one word about corporality. For corporality, you have everything you need. It's embedded inside creation. It's embedded inside our studies, our research, our cultures, our some of it in our religions, throughout the development of human mind, human consciousness, morality, war. Everything is there. When the Zohar does not want to speak about that, it wishes to show us the spiritual level, what the Zohar is called spiritual level, meaning the level of the spirit, how it actually, through each transmigration, it resurrects the will. Through each cycle of our you can say our study, we resurrect some or a will that was dead, meaning that the light escaped it or ran away from it, ascended from it, and it comes to be exposed as a need. Yeah. So this is why it's an introduction. The introduction is that even the questions that are stemming from the search of the soul for its satisfaction cannot explain even the questions that are raised up in this. So this is why it is important that you read it first yourself, come to cul-de-sac, and not being able actually to reach or to communicate with it in order for this, what is called the Iron Curtain, to be lifted or broken. Because it is klipa to understand spiritual language in corporal language. So we need to transcend a bit the language itself. So to see that body, basically, there is a body, there is a spiritual body. But the spiritual body is an expression of the voltage and amperage of the power of the spirit. So it's totally different than what we call body of the soul. You can see it all around you. This has this flower, if you can see it, okay, okay. This flower, all of them, it has, this is the dress that express the amount of light that it has in it and the need of it. The need of it usually is expressed by the color. Okay, so, and it is corporal. So it suggests that an animal and a human will have different dressing according to the power of their livelihood, if you like, yeah. Each one has a different, and therefore you know the function, and therefore you know the extent of completion. This is complete. A cat is complete. A donkey is complete. Human is not. Okay. Human is the only form that is open to changes. Therefore, flora, fauna, and still life will aspire to be included in human life. Because the only salvation and ascending to the root can occur through the evolution of humanity. So this is why there is the big eating. It's a question of inclusion. And the crucial influence of humanity on all other forms of life, and this is why we need to be more considerate, yeah, because they depend on us to include them in the purpose, which they recognize sometimes more than us. Okay, so this is the body as well, and a spirit body, which its senses are called sphirot. Okay, this is the structure of a spiritual body, the tree of life, if you like. So everything that should belong to it and was not able to be included will resurrect with a cry and need to be reformed as part of the spiritual body, the spiritual dress, okay? Meaning the vessel that will allow the light to dwell inside the world, inside the human consciousness, all those which expel the light before, and therefore are called dead. Okay, is it? So you don't have to quench when you hear resurrection of the dead.
So in the prayer, in the Shemona Esrei, when we talk about the raising of the dead, from my own understanding, I associated that with Gilgal HaNefesh, to the recycling. No, it's not that.
No, it's what I spoke, because the prayer specifically the prayer of Amidah, Shmona Esra, was written by Mekubalim. Was not written by Shulchan Aruch, people of late. It was actually to assemble our intention in different PowerPoint of the day to that which we are not. We are not just corporal. And actually to see as it starts with definition of identity. If you don't see Abraham as Sfirat Chesed, and Yitzchak as Gvura, and Yaakov as Tiferet, as part of your garment, you are not included. You cannot pray Shmona Esrei. Meaning, if you don't use their dress, their body, their spiritual body, and if you don't identify with it and ask for it, there's no meaning for Shmona Esrei. Shmona Esrei. Okay. So it is you see, look, apart from it being sort of Shmona Esrei speaks about, Chai and life. It speaks about exactly Shmona Esrei. It means it speaks about the world to come, which is 8, through 10 Sfirot.
Yeah.
Okay. So it means it speaks about nothing to do, even when it speaks about healing. It doesn't speak about healing of the corporal body. It can relate as proxy that you hope that your body will allow you, even in its well-being, to serve the healing, meaning the connection, and to heal the separation between you and your spirit and that which it needs to serve. Okay, so when we use sort of formula of prayer, we need to understand who wrote it and what they meant in the language that they wrote it. This is why I open a serious study of prayer. Okay, so this is what Baal Sulam is saying in the introduction. If we don't have the ability to understand that each word, like body, like table, like heaven and earth, does not speak about heaven and earth as we perceive them, like the sky and the earth. Even sky and earth are different. So we need to see that the distance and the gap between the language of understanding of the soul and the language of, because it's a language of separation, how we transform from what we use as a branch, we use the Hebrew as it should be, as a power of transference from where we are to something that is nearer the root of ourself, which is the root of the language. It is a language of roots, and as it suggests in Hebrew, it suggests many things, but it starts with Abraham, the Hebrew, Ivri, because he could transfer himself, he could transfer the cognition that is being determined by corporality to the spiritual one. And that's the meaning of Ivri, being able to pass, to transfer oneself. So it starts with what actually, even with the word essence. Yeah. So essence in the view of Kabbalah, or the real view, is something that we can never actually touch. Not the essence of ourself and not the essence of the Creator. But it is something that is the motivator or the power that that is beating like a heartbeat through us. So we can know, you can say, the action of the essence, never the essence itself. I think it's a good indication whether something looks to us in Torah or in prayer too corporal, and it gives us an uneasiness in perception. It means that we don't understand it. There's something to search there. So it's a good indication, but not of not of denying, but of a need to know. Okay, because it raises such an indignation. Okay, what story are you telling me about a world full of zombies and you know, something that does not actually or seem to be so. When something usually looks to us primitive, it's the I can say almost with certainty it indicates the primitive form of thought that we apply to understanding what is written. Yeah, or savage. For example, the most sensitive part of Torah for 21st century is sacrifice. How you deal with that? Is it all transferable to a prayer? Is it power that we misunderstood and we misread it, and we relinquish such a powerful connective possibility through rejecting it? So this is why I'm saying it's a lifetime. We need to rethink everything, because Torah is a speech of the Creator. It's not a speech of human to human. We have to come back every time to that, because this is usually we translate it as we understand it. Not only that it was a speech to a complete different time in which the vessels were so higher than us that actually divinity could speak and be heard. And we think in our Hebrews that we can understand, we hear it and understand it, and we can even comment on it with a vessel of ourselves. So this is why we need the spirits, which is called Sofrim, and the Zohar, and Ari Etz Chaim, and Baal Sulam, to actually negotiate it for us. But the first step is the humility and admission that actually we cannot hear, we don't understand, we need guidance, and we need to sort of build together in ourselves, because Torah is not given to one person. It's given to a generation and to a united vessel, or connected vessel. Yeah. So we need to change ourselves for it. It does not change for us. The light never changes. It has one purpose: to bestow goodness to humanity, whether they like it or not. I can add it. Okay? Whether they will blame it for causing suffering or not. We need to change. And we always, through history, all humanity try to change the Creator and the variety of powers and agents that were sent to the world and to Israel according to our understanding. We try to change it. And we're saying, no, we understand that God does not work for us or the Creator, but we don't understand it. We're trying to coerce it into our perception. And the whole Torah is speaking about sorting out ourselves in order to be able to hear. This is what Israel said. We will make a vessel so we can hear you. And they forgot it 1 minute after. But at least they had the sense to promise it. So it's the language of first making the vessel so the light could be heard, could be present. So it's very important because we are going in a week time to a very particular day of giving Torah, which in every cycle, it's actually testing our willingness to be that vessel. Okay. So this